There's a reason most people never truly transform. It's not because they lack discipline. It's not because they lack opportunity. It's not because they're somehow broken. It's because they never allow themselves to be alone long enough to hear their own truth. They keep filling every moment with noise, with company, with distractions, with validation. But the men and women who grow the fastest, who evolve past their old limits, have one thing in common. They spend time in solitude. Today, I'm going to explain why solitude is the fastest way to level up. I'll show you why you've been avoiding it, what happens when you finally embrace it, and how to use it as a portal to become the most powerful version of yourself. From the time you were young, you were taught that being alone was something to be fixed. If you sat by yourself in school, you were a loser. If you stayed home on the weekend, you were missing out. If you didn't have constant company, you must be lonely. So, you learned to fear solitude. You learned to interpret it as a sign you weren't enough, a sign you were unloved, a sign you were failing. But here's the truth. Solitude isn't the problem. It's your story about solitude that keeps you stuck. Let's be honest. When you're alone, there are no distractions from your reality. You can't hide behind the noise of other people. You can't keep blaming everyone else for why you haven't changed. You can't keep sedating yourself with attention and external validation. Being alone confronts you with the raw, unfiltered truth, who you actually are, what you actually feel, what you're actually doing or not doing with your life. That's why most people stay busy. It's easier to stay in a constant loop of stimulation than to sit in the quiet and face yourself. But the irony is, until you face yourself, you can't change. When you stop running, something unexpected happens. First, the discomfort shows up. You feel the urge to grab your phone. You feel restless. You feel an emptiness you can't quite name. But if you stay with it, if you don't sedate it, clarity begins to emerge. You start to hear the quiet voice beneath the noise, the voice that tells you what you actually want, what's no longer working, where you've been lying to yourself. This is the beginning of transformation. Solitude doesn't create your power. It simply removes everything that was obscuring it. Most people think addiction is about substances, but more often it's about distraction. When you spend time alone, you discover all the ways you've been avoiding reality. The need to always be texting someone, the impulse to scroll social media whenever you feel restless, the compulsion to fill your calendar so you don't have to feel. Solitude shows you the truth about your dependencies. And when you can see them clearly, you can finally start to free yourself. Part 5. Solitude builds unshakable self-reliance. When you stop outsourcing your sense of okayness to other people, you become sovereign. You realize you can sit in your own company without craving an audience. You discover you don't need validation to feel worthy. You learn you don't need anyone to complete you. And that changes everything. Because the moment you stop depending on external reinforcement is the moment you become untouchable. When you're always surrounded by others, you start to absorb their energy, their opinions, their anxieties, their limitations. But when you spend time alone, you get to recalibrate your standards. What do I actually want? What do I actually value? What will I no longer tolerate? You stop settling because you finally have the clarity and courage to hold out for what aligns. This is why the person who's comfortable alone often has the strongest boundaries. They aren't afraid of walking away. Think about the moments in your life when you've grown the most. It wasn't when you were surrounded by noise. It wasn't when you were chasing validation. It wasn't when you were busy performing for other people. It was in the quiet, when the dust settled, when the old illusions collapsed, when you had nothing left but the raw truth of who you were. Solitude is where you strip away everything false, and from that emptiness, you start to build something real. Here's what solitude is not: binging Netflix for hours, scrolling your phone in bed all day, sleeping just to avoid reality. That's escapism, not solitude. Real solitude is conscious. It's time you spend with yourself, fully present. Here are a few ways to practice it. Go for a long walk without your phone. Sit in silence and just observe your thoughts. Journal honestly about what's working and what isn't. Spend a weekend alone, no distractions, no plans. Cook for yourself and be fully present in the process. It will feel uncomfortable at first. That's the point. You're detoxing from overstimulation. The more time you spend alone, the more you start to feel a sense of calm that doesn't depend on circumstances, a clarity about what you're here to do, a self-trust that doesn't require constant reassurance. You become someone who can stand alone. And ironically, that's when the right people start to gravitate towards you. Because nothing is more attractive than someone who doesn't need anyone. Here's the truth. Most people take years to level up because they never create enough space to confront themselves. They stay busy. They stay distracted. They stay surrounded by people who reinforce their old identity. But when you step back, when you allow yourself to be alone, the process accelerates. Because there's no one left to lie to, no one left to perform for, just you and the truth. And the truth is always the fastest route to transformation. If you're serious about leveling up, if you're tired of the loops, if you're done with the noise, give yourself the gift of solitude. Stop filling every gap. Stop medicating every feeling. Stop fearing the quiet. Sit with yourself. Hear what's been buried. Feel what you've been avoiding. Because in that silence, you will find everything you've been searching for. Your clarity, your power, your freedom. This is The Quiet Edge. Subscribe if you're ready to reclaim your life. I'll see you in the next one.